Hello, guys. This is African Dynasty today. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I would love for you to subscribe to my channel and click the like button. Today, what I would like to talk about are black codes and slave codes. Okay, so the slave codes were during slavery, black codes were during the Jim Crow time. So, I'm going to kind of briefly go over and talk about it a little bit and talk about how it is applicable today, how all of these laws and rules were that exist today were borrowed from those times. Okay, they're just reinvented and packaged in a nice little package, that looks good today, where we don't really see that it is hazardous to us. Okay, all right. So if you hear me flickering, I am flickering through my notes so that I can recall these codes. Okay. All right. Number one, the Movement and Restriction Code. Okay. So this is the slave code. In order for a melanated person who was enslaved to move around, they had to have a written notice from their, I'll say, power structure, Mzungu. Okay. So they could not move about freely. So there were times where the Mzungu would send the melanated person, about to go and do different errands. So that means that they will leave the plantation to take care of certain errands, but they had to have a notice. Okay, so how is that applicable today? Today, melanated people know that they have to have their ID with them at all times to confirm who they are, or else they're going to be suspected as being criminals. Okay? So, melanated people understand how these borrowed behaviors, mindsets from the 1800s still exist today. Okay? Now, number two, gathering in large numbers. Melanated people during that time could not gather in large numbers. Okay, they were perceived as organizing for an insurrection. So today, how is that applicable today? Well, one of the big things I notice with melanated people today, they're scared to gather in large numbers on their jobs. We get petrified. Oh my goodness, if we are gathering in large numbers and our Mzungu see us, we become really nervous and fearful we're going to lose our job because we're gathering in large numbers. It's okay for them to do it. They gather in hee ha ha in large numbers, but not you. You're going to be perceived as suspicious. You're not working. Okay? So those behaviors were laws then, but they're unwritten rules today. Okay? So, all right. So, one of the next slave code, and it was slave patrols. Okay. So slave patrols were legal or authorized individuals who patrolled melanated people. From moving about, you had to show again your notice from your, power structure Mzungu as to the reason why you are moving from one destination to the other. So this goes a little bit more in depth in terms of slave patrols were not only on the plantation, they patrolled the city. So that means that the power structure, slave patrol, and regular citizens all work in concert. That if they saw a melanated person wandering around, the regular citizen, Mzungu, will contact the slave patrol, who will contact, the Mzungu, the power structure Mzungu, who own the plantation. Okay? So how does that look today? Well, regular Mzungu citizens call the slave patrol the cops, law enforcement, okay, which is sanctioned, by the United States. It is approved and sanctioned. They all work in concert. If they see a melanated person who looks suspicious, you're in a community where they perceive you're not supposed to be. So that fearful Mzungu will call the law enforcement, who functions as a slave patrol, will now come and accost you. They want to know where you're going, where you're coming from, where you're going, do you have your ID? And they'll tell some lie about there's been many break-ins, and they'll come up with all types of lies. So you're automatically perceived as a criminal first, not as a citizen, okay? So if you see these behaviors come from generations, centuries of these types of behaviors for melanated people. Sorry about that. Okay. What about punishment and killings? Okay, let's talk about that. So, the power structure Mzungu, plantation owner, had every right to beat the melanated person for any reason. The food wasn't cooked right. You did not pick enough cotton or sugar cane or whatever the case may be. They could beat you. Okay? Now, if they just happened to murder you, there were no consequences to that Mzungu. Same thing exists today. If the Mzungu law enforcement, slave patrol, happened to stop you because your tail light was out or you ran a red light, they have every right, sanctioned by the United States, that if they feel fearful because you moved a particular way or because you did not submit yourself enough and they just happen to murder you, the qualified immunity protects them from being prosecuted. So that means that, again, all of these processes are in place to protect them and to keep melanated people in check. They had these laws during that time, just like they have these particular rules and laws in place today to protect them. Okay? But strip you. Alright? Okay, so that was the killings and punishment. Alright. Now, here are two black codes. So these were codes that were done after slavery during Jim Crow. It's sort of similar to what we were talking about, the right to assemble and bear arms. During Jim Crow, melanated people could not bear arms, and they could not assemble in large numbers. Again, it will be perceived as a threat. So today, if you were to exercise, melanated people were to exercise their Second Amendment right, they organize in very large numbers, they bear arms, they would be perceived as a threat. They would now start to, the forces that be would start to infiltrate them. They would start to, the propaganda will start, they will be on the terrorist list. Okay? That is the behaviors and rules, laws that were implemented during those times are still in place today. Packaged differently, but it's still the same. It is to keep them in a powerful position and keep you in a vulnerable position. Okay? Melanated people, when I say you, melanated. Okay. The final and last black code, and it's many more, but I'm only going to talk about just this last one, were the convict leasing. Convict leasing meant that the powers that be could arrest a melanated person if they did not have a job, if they didn't pay their taxes. They arrest them for any frivolous reason. Why? Because they needed bodies for free labor. That was a way for them to make people work for free. That is equivalent to our prison industrial system today. Today, the prison system is a very profitable system. They make multi-millions of dollars with keeping black bodies in prison. Not only do they strip you of your voting right, they strip you of your right to own arms, a gun. Okay? So those systems were in place during that time. It's just rearranged and repackaged today nicely. And we're not even aware that these behaviors existed during that time. Your capacity to move around freely, your capacity to assemble yourselves, the ability for the slave patrol or your masters to kill you with no penalty existed then, and they exist today. Okay? So that the whole prison industrial system, they need bodies, they need a system where they can continue to make money off of melanated bodies, one way or the other, whether it's free labor or a system that is profitable. Okay, we have to be aware of this. So they study the systems, the powers that be. They study the systems. Where do we fall short at? We fall short maybe sometimes in child support, paying our taxes. Wherever we fall short, they create a system to as a loophole so that they can keep sending black bodies to the prison system. Okay? And again, this is African Dynasty. I really appreciate you for listening to me. I want you to subscribe to my channel. Hit that like button. And I absolutely want to know your comment. So leave a comment below. Look forward to talking with you again. Bye.